Good anytime, my fuzzies, and welcome back, or welcome to a quick review of Evil Dead Rise. Very nice. Another standalone movie for the Evil Dead franchise, following Evil Dead 2013. Yeah. So, for a quick review, speaking of quick review, with these quick reviews, I like to talk about the movie. If there's anything I would like them to do differently, I suggest it. I talk about who might like it, what's good about it, what's kind of bad, what can be changed, stuff like that. And usually go over different things like characters, story, and whatnot. But overall, for Evil Dead Rise, whatever, it's fine. Can barely see it. But overall, for Evil Dead Rise, it's a fine movie. They go back into the straight up horror aspects of it. Yeah. And yeah, it's no comedy, basically straight up horror. With kids this time, instead of just being adults to be slaughtered. It's more about family, for some reason. And we'll get to that later. Overall, I would say it's fine. Yeah. Maybe if you're interested to see another take on Evil Dead, what would happen if kids got involved, I guess. For whatever reason, if that's what you want. Yeah. It's kind of just Evil Dead in the house. It does some interesting things. Overall, it's just, if, deadites come up, they play tricks, hell ensues, etc., etc. So, maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. It's not my favorite of the series. I think Evil Dead 2013, I think this is actually, Evil Dead Rise is the weakest. It's not bad. I'll probably watch it again in the future, but I want to see more from what they do, but go more into comedy, not more into horror. They've done good with horror, but the horror comedy is Evil Dead series for me, which I'll talk about later when I go over the whole series. But starting with the story of it, it starts out kids and family in a, it starts out at a cabin in the woods where some girl got infected by the Deadite. She kills her cousin and her boyfriend. And then it goes to one day earlier, where we meet the Beth? I think it's Beth. Let me just re-look. Ellie, no. Jessica? It might. No, that's not Jessica. It is. I don't know. I think it's Beth. She's on the road a lot. Finds out she's pregnant. Goes home to her sister. The sister's husband left her for whatever reason, so she's all alone. The sister Beth has been absent from her sister Jessica's life, doing her own thing, but wants to come back and whatnot because she's pregnant. Heck ensues. After an earthquake that rocks the apartment building they are in, the kids find a underground area that's been abandoned and sealed off, it seems. In it, the brother, Danny, finds a Necronomicon. He finds some vinyl records and some other interesting things. Brings it up. Through him, he plays the records, which unleashes the Kandarian demons on the land, who infect the mother, Jessica. And, the normal stuff ensues. People die. They fight. Bev must save as many as they can, only saving the daughter as everyone else gets taken, ending in a collective battle, them escaping to hopefully give birth to Beth's child, and taking care of the youngest, Cassie. All in all, for a story, it's an interesting take on Evil Dead, not being in an area like the cabin where the woods are alive and whatnot, but rather being in one building miles above the ground where you can't really escape and still using the fucking elevator. So being stuck in one place different than how it usually is in like I said, rather than a cabin in the woods, just being up high in a building. At the end of it, I guess the girl from the beginning of it gets taken over by the Deadites, and then the beginning of the movie happens. Yeah, after that. Don't know why they kept that in. It's a weird thing because she has nothing to do with the movie except for the beginning and end. But whatever. Yeah, story-wise, Deadites still doing cool things like playing with people's emotions, being creative in how they kill / get killed and whatnot a bit. Overall, for a story, it's about family, even though most of the family dies, and is fine. It's probably the most meansest to an endsest story that I've seen. It's not bad. It works, but if you like Evil Dead for the reasons I do, with the campiness, the jokes and whatnot, this one, not bad, but yeah, that's just it. It's not bad. Not what I'd like from the Evil Dead franchise, but I don't know. We'll see where they go from here. Besides that, what else do we have? So going on to the characters. So the main characters you have are Jessica, the mother figure, whose husband left her. She's kind of just mother, gets taken over pretty early, and is, a deadite for most of it. Trying to get the kids to let her in, / trying to kill her kids. Then you have Bev, or Beth, or Bethy Boo, whatever her name is, who is pregnant. Jessica's sister, who has been absent, being called a groupie because she likes to party and go around. Whether or not she likes to party with a lot of guys in that way, I don't know. She's kind of coming to grips with being a mother and trying to protect the kids and herself and her child. To be born child. Fine, I guess. Again, a lot of these characters, they're not bad. I want to see them continue and whatnot, but overall, it's just, means to an end. They do a good job on what they have to do, but nothing really stands out. I don't think in a few weeks, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, Beth from Evil Dead Rise. Now, she was a protagonist I can really count on because of her, she was a mother. And that's about it. Not much for her to do and go off of, which is a shame. They tend to do that a lot in these movies, unfortunately. A lot of the female characters are just either one note or basically no notes. Well, I guess the men as well in this one are one note, so at least that's an improvement. Rather than all the other ones having the men actually do something and the women just be bait, or not bait, they're never used as bait, but the women just being killed off and whatnot. So everyone gets to be meh in this. Then who else do we have? We have Bridget, who is the activist of the group. That's about it. Again, most of these characters just means to an end. I liked her. I think she did a really good job being scared and being turned into a deadite and how she acted. Again, the acting in this is really well done. I like all these actors. All throughout the Evil Dead series, there's no actor or actress in any of these where I've gone like, Yeah, they phoned it in. They didn't care about it. They've all done a good job. I'd like to see more of them. Danny, he finds the book. He releases it. He's scared of it. Scared, upset that he did it. Not much more to him, though. And Cassie, even less so, besides being the youngest and just wanting her mommy and daddy to get back together. All in all, again, Evil Dead, I don't really go for characters much. I don't want to see any of these characters. Oh, there's also the characters in the hall, but they're kind of like old guy who smokes and is very straightforward. Friend of the family who can drive them around, who will drive them around to find their kids when they're missing, and whatnot. But again, they're just kind of there. Hell, there's like 3 characters that aren't even introduced, and they're just there for the ending, and they don't even do anything. They kind of just chant or get killed instantly. Like 2 of them off screen, all of them off screen. But that's another thing I'll talk about later. But all for characters, yeah, there's just a lot of means to an ends here. Not much to talk about, unfortunately. The setting being in a building, that's kind of interesting. I think if you're stuck in the one room the whole time, or the one apartment the whole time, being the family's apartment, you kind of see the garage at the bottom, but that's it, kind of the garage, the elevator, or in the halls, and in the one people's apartment. So, yeah. Not a bad spot. It's very claustrophobic, adds for a lot of close quarters combat, and some interesting things with what you find in the room to kill things and whatnot. Yeah, means to an end. Like the whole series has been a means to an end with locations and whatnot. Not bad. I liked it. I think I don't know what even they would have done for a story in a building like this. Like I said before, maybe have it where they have to work together to get out, and as they're doing so, the Deadite is taking them off, rather than just as it is the main crew sitting in one place, as the mother infects the one child and then goes out in the hall and is stuck there. Like, I think if they had to do things like go through the building, unbarricade things, open doors, watch out for the Deadite, could have been interesting. But it's a lot of just sitting around and waiting for what's going to happen. Again, not bad, but And the locations support that. They look interesting enough, but it's alright. Special effects. Special effects, as always, is beautifully well done. There's some interesting new things we haven't seen. The amalgamation from all the Deadites coming together for the family, apparently. Eating glass, seeing it go down the one girl's throat. That was... And just things going through people. From sticks to glass to everything else. Like I said, the special effects in these are always really good. They're always graphic. They're always really creative in a lot of ways. It could have been better. Being in this place, there's not much they can do. Well, they could have done. But yeah, I think the other movies, shows, and whatnot have a lot more range when it comes to what they can do and whatnot. But it's not bad. It's just not the most creative in the series. But besides that, special effects pretty decent. If you like the Evil Dead films, these are kind of in the same area. And then how it goes with Legacy. Again, I guess I didn't even notice, but Bruce Campbell voiced one of the priests. Bruce Campbell being Ash Williams from the original series. Which they say they don't say, oh no, he's a different character. But why would Ash become a priest? Just don't make sense to me. And all that. But yeah. Not much more to say about that with when I'm talking about Legacy. It's just another iteration of how the book looks. Another iteration of how how the evil gets released. This time through vinyl, not someone reading it. Not from a tape recorder thing. interesting enough, but yeah, it's... If you wanted to see what an Evil Dead movie would be like with a family, with kids, and on the top of a apartment building that's about to be knocked down, so it's very unstable to begin with, maybe you'll like it. It's fine. It's going its own way, but the problem is, even with like Evil Dead 1 is Evil Dead 2013 was standalone, so it didn't continue on to this. And this is also standalone, which not bad, but again, I like Evil Dead for Ash because he was a hero, but he was also very selfish and lazy. He didn't do everything right, and he didn't really care about it. He's like, oh, I said the words, maybe I didn't say them right, but whatever, it doesn't matter. And he doomed people. And overall, it's fun to see him go. Because again, he's not your typical hero. He makes a lot of mistakes. He wants the easy way out. He's lazy. But he's still the hero at the end. Whereas these, you don't really get a character where I'm absolutely like, yeah, I would love to see where this character goes. Maya, who survived in Evil Dead 2013, she's fine. I wouldn't mind continuing her story and seeing how it continues from there. What other dangers come from the book after the one guy is killed. But that's also where it stops. Maybe it doesn't continue, although Ash did a groovy thing and looked at the camera, which is weird. At that point, it's just fan service for fan service, which, no. And then this one again. It starts with other characters, goes into the family, it ends with those characters doing the thing at the beginning, so I guess it's a loop. But, I don't know. For Legacy, this one, you could have just turned it into another invasion story of some other, like, ghost getting in the host and whatnot, or make it an infection and whatnot, instead of being the Book of the Dead. Like, it's fine. I'm fine with it being in the Evil Dead series. It's more of like a standalone story. It is a standalone story. Whether or not you consider it canon or whatnot to events, I don't. It's more, with all these films, it's all been timelines. Different timelines, like Ash having his girlfriend and friends in the first one, to Evil Dead 2, where it's just him and his girlfriend who is different, hence a different timeline, to 3, having yet a different girlfriend, apparently, and starting differently than 2 ended. But yeah, I view it all as different timelines. Evil Dead 2013 takes place in a timeline where Ash either 1, sealed up the book, but then was killed off later, so he wasn't able to escape, or maybe he didn't go at all, but then he is there, and he's still alive at the... I don't know, it's complicated. It's timelines for me. And this one, a timeline where the priests found it, instead of the professor, which this one is more on its own than the other one. Evil Dead 2 at least had Professor Nobley speaking and Cheryl, so it kind of is continuating. Where this one, I don't think it had any of that. And Ash is a different character in it, which is fine. So this is a completely different continuity. But anyways, overall for the series, it's fine. It's not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite of all the Evil Dead stuff. Again, I don't mind them going into like super serious stuff and true horror. But they did that with Evil Dead 2013. And that retold the story of Evil Dead with even gorier details and whatnot. This one, like, you don't get to know the family, so you can't really... Or I didn't really get to know the family all that much personally, so I'm not really into I don't want to see anyone killed, but I'm not really like, yeah, let's keep going, let's see what goes on after this. Interesting, but meh. Oh, and we'll see. It's an outlier for me. In a completely different timeline than any of the other Evil Dead movies. like I said, at least Evil Dead 2013 did have some things linking it to the original Evil Dead, so you can be like, yeah, it's a different timeline there. Where this one, still a different timeline, but way off track. Overall, not bad. I'd prefer it not being an Evil Dead one. They could have just done like a virus type of thing scenario, and I think it would work really good. But in terms of Evil Dead, it's definitely one of those movies where it's not a bad movie. It works and is really good. I just prefer it not to be in the continuity of the main series. But for a spin-off, what if type of thing, it's fine. But anyways, that's about it for me. This has been the final of all the Evil Dead movies and whatnot. I think the only things we could potentially go into is the Evil Dead musical, which maybe I'll watch that. I always like it. It is good. I enjoy it. The problem with that is there's no like one copy of it. You're just watching other people performing the play online. YouTube, there's plenty of them. Pick the one you want. And what was it? Into the Woods, I think. A short story, which was the proof of concept for the Evil Dead franchise before it came out. Within the Woods. Yeah. And that's it. We've watched everything else from the original trilogy of Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, to the standalone movies of Evil Dead 2013 and Evil Dead Rise, which came out 10 years apart, to the TV show of Ash vs. Evil Dead. Yeah, the TV show ended and then Evil Dead came out after that. Yeah. But Evil Dead month isn't over yet. I still have Evil Dead the video game, and then I'll do a complete look at the whole Evil Dead franchise as a series for the end. But thank you, my fuzzies, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this movie and my thoughts on it. I will see you next anytime. Take care.